Sure. Alan has been a long time PNSQC volunteer as well as author and workshop leader. And so it's great to have Alan here to share his ideas. Alan has been in software quality and software, and now he's a senior SDET at Cisco. So it's great to see him be able to share his experience. Probably has at least 20 years of experience in QA and software development. So I'm going to stop my share and let Alan do his thing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Well, so while Moss is finding the slides, for those of you who don't know me, welcome to the kickoff for this year. My name is Alan Ark. If you were here last year, welcome back. If you're new to PNSQC, welcome. A little bit about me. Like Phil mentioned, I'm an old man. I have lots of experience in the industry, 20 going on 30, closer to 30 than 20. I currently work with Duo Security, which is now a part of Cisco Systems. And my automation chops include tons of years with Ruby and Water, Selenium with C#, also Selenium with Python, which is what I'm doing right now. So we talk about last year's theme, and it was the evolution of quality. All right, so we're going to walk back a little bit. What did you do with that information? Did you learn new skills, or did you advance your career? So this talk is going to be talking about what is the evolution of you, and what does your future hold for you? So thinking about interviewing, right? One of my favorite interview questions is asking the candidate, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Some people hate that question because it's a tough question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? It takes a little bit of introspection, a little bit of understanding what you want to do and who you are to really come up with that answer. And that answer is going to be different for every single person. But the idea is, what can you do to take that next step in your career? Moss, if we could skip a couple slides. Yeah, right here. So an easy way to progress into your career is adding new skills. If you're already in test automation, maybe you add more test automation. Maybe you specialize in something like performance testing or cybersecurity. Maybe you move into a different role at the company, project management. So there's been a lot of software quality engineers that I've worked with who've progressed into different roles. Project management is nice. Scrum Master is nice. Software developer. Or they move up into other roles. Maybe they move jobs and learn a different language. I've come in, I know Ruby, I know Perl, Python, C#, Java. Why? Those jobs needed it. And I'm going to go into a company, I'm going to use what language they use because I don't want to deal with what happens to all this software I'm creating if no one can maintain it, right? So I'm choosing to learn a new language to help progress my career, but also progress the company. So what are the skills that you might want to add? Nobody really knows. If we could go one more, thank you. There's no complete lists, but the idea is you want to build your portfolio with all these different tools in your toolkit so you can apply them to whatever the situation may be. An easy way to do that, share information at gatherings. You're already taking the first step by showing up tonight. This is a big thing. It's pretty easy to be at home on the couch, right? And for our remotes, they also thank you so much for being here. You had to make a conscious decision to join us, to share the information at gatherings like this. Luckily, a lot of us are with companies who provide some training budget. So you have an opportunity to take some classes. But taking a class is one thing, using it is another. The idea is if you're taking a skill, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to practice with it? Right. So ideas might be a side project, whether it's at work or outside of work. Something that we do at Duo is if someone is in a particular group and they want to try something different, we actually encourage them to go explore changing their role inside these other groups. So the managers would get together, give an opportunity, they agree. Maybe 1 quarter, maybe 2 quarters, they go out and they are an embedded member on a completely different team. Maybe your company allows that. So you have this opportunity to try something on a temporary basis to see if you like it. And if you don't, no big deal, because you always have your old spot there. But the idea is it gives you a different perspective on things. It gives you an opportunity to learn something different from people you don't normally interact with, right? And maybe your company doesn't offer that. Sometimes you got to change your job. And that's not a bad thing. Some people don't like their job. That's okay. Change it. You have an opportunity to change it. It's up to you on what you do to put in these new tools in your toolbox. So you put it all together. All these little things that you're doing every day. Learning, always learn. Always be curious. That's probably your biggest asset as a quality engineer. We're always asking, well, why? What happens if I do this? Is that on purpose? All those little questions, that's what we bring to the table. Because as most software developers that I know, they're like, it works. Next, right? But then we're like, hold on. What if? What if I do this? And then you accumulate that over time, right? And that's part of the knowledge that you have, part of the skills, part of the experience. And you couple that with, as you progress in your career, you also can become a little bit of a mentor and teach, and eventually maybe get called up to say, you want to talk at a quality jam? Like, yeah, sure, I can talk about stuff and get people hopefully hyped up about what PNSQC really is, an opportunity to share. This is QA camp. I always tell people the best times. But what we do here, we share stories about what we run into every day and have questions about, like, how can I improve upon this? How can I improve on that? And it's part of just sharing the communication. And that's pretty important. And that's how we grow. Next. So you think about, where do you want to go in your career? How are you going to evolve? It may be through a new role. Now, as an individual contributor, you're eventually going to rise up, and some companies will say, well, do you want to be technical or do you want to be a manager? Right? That's a choice that you have. It used to be like, oh, you got up to this level, you're going to be a manager. That's your next step. But nowadays, I think a lot of companies have evolved to say, hey, we have two different tracks, technical track, people track, and you get to choose your own adventure. And if you don't like one path, you always have an opportunity to try the other. Figure out what you want to do. And I already mentioned that a lot of people I've seen throughout my career don't always stay within the software quality space. They do different things. A couple of jobs ago, I was working with a guy. He's a good guy. Probably not the best quality engineer. But you know what? He was a damn good product owner. He was really good at product ownership. But that's part of the evolution. You just trying different things, find something that fits you and that you actually enjoy doing, you want to do. Finding that fit is a part of the journey. There's no magic 8-ball that says, okay, what am I going to do? What should I do? Kind of is up to you. These roles here, just a list, not a complete. And there's a lot of stuff that can go on here too. And the one thing I see towards the bottom, it's consulting. And then I also talk about mentorship. And I kind of touched on this already. The idea is, as you become a little more experienced, I think it's our duty as a more senior engineer to help train and give some tips to the next generation who's coming behind us. And I do that right now with a little bit of mentorship on the side at work. Nothing really formal. It's just once in a while, just have a conversation. Again, that's sharing a little bit of knowledge. Maybe you want to become vice president sometime. Maybe it might be out of technology. You never know, but that's part of the evolution. Maybe you take that leap and you become a chief executive officer. Wouldn't that be cool? Well, guess what? You already are. You're the CEO of your life. And I think it's your responsibility to network with other CEOs. So I challenge you here at Quality Jam and at work, at home, outside, network with other CEOs. So where do you want this journey to take you? It's kind of up to you. But again, think about what values you have, be true to those values, and make those decisions based on those values. But always be curious, because if you stop learning, what's the point? All right, that's it.
Oh, thanks, thanks, Alan. That was really tantalizing there in terms of that, especially that photo at the end.
Yeah, you can think about that for a while. Which side are you going to go on? I'm probably going to go right down the middle because I'm a quality engineer. All right, folks.
All right, so we have our next person up is, let's see, who's on the agenda there, Moss? Does anybody, by the way, feel free to ask questions because this is not a one-way street, as you can see from Alan's picture there. So does anybody have questions for Alan on
Yeah, I'll come back. Anybody got questions for me?
I have more of a comment than question. Alan seems to have a very good insight into how to help some of our members to develop professionally. Maybe maybe John Civeco and you can chat a little bit more. John is on site, I think.
Yes, he is.
Thank you.
Great. Well, let's move on to our next speaker.